All right, and welcome to another week of the Extra Point. My name is Mark Adams, and I'm here with my squad, my gang, A the Quinkers Jr., Andrew Jupe. We are the Extra Point. Man, it has been still been kind of a little bit of the calm before the storm before college football starts up because I watched the 220 Club for FAMU and for Albany State. I'm still holding out hope a little bit. I know we're on probation, but I'm still holding out hope. This is going to be an electrifying season. For Florida State, I can't really call it. I'm not sure what to do. I would wait for this New Mexico State game. Other than that, week number two in the capital city, Big Bend and Panhandle areas. Man, we started off week number one with an absolute bang. Probably one of the biggest rivalries, city rivalries, took center stage. The Gabi Rickers game was probably, I think what tickets got sold out completely. And I know Rickers had to issue an apology or something like that.
Yeah, packed house, Mark. I was talking to a couple people that were at the game. Obviously, we were down in Southwood, but there was a point where they had to lock the gates. So people were trying to leave when it was storming, and they could not leave because they couldn't let anybody else in. So they had to usher them all the way down to the south end of the stadium, but it was absolutely jam packed to the gills. They said people that purchased tickets ahead of time could not get in. It was well beyond capacity, which is wild, Mark, because it's been 6 years, 7, 8 years since that's been the case. Makes me think about if we're. I know we flirted with it for that Madison Bluntstown championship game, but it makes me thinking when Northwestern came up and played Rickards.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Four Quarters Invitational there.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
there's nothing like when you know it's gonna be a game when that parking lot. I mean, when you start seeing the line forming outside of Gene Cox and the sun is still way up in the air, like people still supposed to be at work and they're like, nah, I'm taking off early. That just sets the stage. And it's not just, I don't know, it's weird. It's not just football because I've seen it for basketball, especially between these two schools. So just the fans just know anytime I think Rick and Gabi could play ping pong somewhere and the fans will still turn out. I do believe that. But man, it was a great showing. Um, had another huge matchup on Thursday night. The previous Thursday night, Mosley linked up, and absolutely, man, a stunner victory for the Dolphins going up against Choctaw. We'll get into all of those a little bit later. But man, it's been an exciting week number two. Still waiting on college football. I don't know. I think the jury is still out. I really feel like Shador should be starting for Cleveland. That's just
Oh yeah, that was
I
quite
don't
the
know, man. We'll
yeah.
see. We'll see. But yeah, let's not waste any time. We're gonna go ahead and jump into it. The week number one recap, man, full of games. I think that one of the biggest things we saw was just a complete display of talent going off. Um, a lot of what I think we saw was just some great come from behind wins too. There were like five or six where just we had several teams, including Lincoln, that had big come from behind wins. Let me go ahead and pull up the first one. Um, and just kind of jump into this one where uh we have Bowles taking on Columbia, and it was just this is about as good as you could get in terms of like being able to see a big game and like in a great atmosphere, come from behind. I had a chance to see a clip on I think it was Jacksonville WJAX. Had some of the last second heroics where Columbia absolutely threw a nice pass to seal the deal.
Yeah,
Yeah, man,
absolutely.
this was a good one, and right here for Colombia, absolutely. On top of that, this is what I like to call a big signature win for the Tigers to win on the road, and this helps, I think, in the rankings overall to kind of get Colombia up there. Wouldn't you say, Jupe?
Yeah, 100%. And I know, might be too early for some to talk about playoffs, but I know we like talking about playoffs here, gang. And to me, I think I had Columbia high on my radar, but I say bona fide contender here. Like I'm talking Elite Eight onwards. if we can stay healthy for Columbia, the defense was absolutely mean. We know about the personnel that Bowles brings to the table. Of
Right.
course, Giotto, Edwards, Wessel, Flowers, all those guys that they always have that is loaded. Columbia goes in there. Defense, big and bad. They had 6 sacks, I believe it was, 10 tackles for a loss. They stopped them multiple times on 4th down. Couple blocked kicks, interception, the takeaways, you love it. And of course, I think that was the huge emphasis. And the defense is so mean. Like Wesley Haywood, the linebacker there, had a great game. And then also that defensive front. The guys on the front line, Jalen Underwood, Mikael Morgan, of course, got himself a big SEC offer, and I think it's no coincidence coming right after that big game against Bulls. They looked dominant. I'm loving what I see out of Columbia, and if I'm a Tiger faithful, I'm feeling really good. Granted, the schedule is brutal, especially early. No breaks. You play Bulls. Now you got to take on Choctaw coming up here, but the way they handled things, and then like you talked about, Mark, through the aerial attack as well, you got to think about the future Terrapin Kyron Caldwell, and this may be his touchdown, but he's a University of Maryland commit. He went over 100 and had a big touchdown here for Columbia to get things rolling, and he's a certified baller.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things about this game was that it really, man, nobody really goes in the Bowls and comes out with a win, and Columbia managed to do that. Man, I like this play right here. Just get in the end zone. Finally got
Yeah.
It's really one of those games where I think it sets the tone for Columbia. I'm definitely buying the Tigers right now as far as week number 1 is concerned. They do look like a bona fide contender. Just the way that they were able to play and handle being able to go into Bowls is just no easy feat. Hopefully, this is one of those where you just want the team to stay healthy going into the season, but this is a great way to set the tone.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Look at that. Back to his player and just get in the end zone. Don't stop. Don't stop.
All right, so let's keep it rolling. We got Liberty County taking down Chipley. Huge win for the Bulldogs. I really like what I'm seeing out there in Bristol right now. Chipley, younger team. I realized that they definitely lost a few key pieces of last year, but man, for Liberty County, this is one of those where like you definitely want to be able to kind of lock in and get into a groove. And I think for the Bulldogs, looking at with some of the pieces they bring back from last year, this is a team that also is going to be one of those to beat right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark, once again, if we want to frame it with playoffs as a team, I'm liking what I'm seeing here as we kind of go down. I know we're going to get on board and we're going to crown some champions week 1, right? Because that's what we like to do. But I say got to keep Liberty County on your radar. It feels like we're down in South Central Florida there in Wildcat country because Hardy Wilder Horror is absolutely a beast. 4 touchdowns at the quarterback position, 2 by air, 2 on the ground. He was having a field day. And how about a little bit of the secondary action with some big takeaways? And to seal the deal, of course, we had Ashton Tranquil, the sensational sophomore. Also, that linebacker court is unreal, guys. Gunn, Sykes, Keever. I think they were flirting with 35 tackles between the 3 of them, but they're flying around all over the place. So not only what they can do offense, which we saw last year, but the defense coming up big as well. Like you said, Mark, if we're kind of going with a holding and folding kind of situation, I'm holding the Bulldogs right now. And I don't want to say, Mark, because let the record show, I was rocking the Liberty County Bulldogs polo last week. I don't want to say that when you wear the polo, you get the big dub, but I also don't want to discount it because we're going north of the border. So just in case we can get a little magic here, I got the Trojan on this week for what it's worth. But monster pickup here for Liberty County. And of course, when you're trying to get those big wins, prepare yourself for the playoffs. Hey, anytime you can get Chipley, that's going to be a big win. But Liberty County team to watch out in the Panhandle.
Yeah. To add on to that, Juke, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, definitely liking what the Bulldogs are doing. A lot of what those pieces coming together. We definitely talked about this was a team that had a good mix of seniors and juniors last year. Now this is a team that's got a ton of experience. I think Coach Tranquil is definitely going to have this team ready. Eddie, this is a team that looks like they can make some noise. And I think you said they're in the SSAA as well.
Yes, so this is also like some style points and also some big recognition because Chipley is still FHSAA and Liberty County is in the SSAA Atlantic League division. And you get credit points for wins against FHSAA opponents. So this is good for the Liberty County Bulldogs who are now climbing up in the North Region standings of the Atlantic League. More details on that as the season progresses, but Liberty County is definitely, I feel like, a team that is going to find a way to finish in the top 8 of the North region. And let's not forget, this team is also one of 4 members of the Apalachicola Valley Conference. More details on that later on as the show continues. But this is a big win for Liberty County. And, this is going to get you up there in the standings. So this helps out a lot, this win here.
Yeah, definitely. Eddie, I appreciate you, man. Eddie's got all the SSAA broken down. So this is that new classification we were talking about where there's just going to be so many of the rural division teams that have migrated over. So don't worry. We got you. We got you. Let's keep it rolling. We need to go ahead and talk about it. It was the game of the century vibe, but man, the parking lot just, I mean, it was swole early. Like literally everybody was pouring out there. Shout out to everybody we bumped into in the Waffle House. I mean, it's not the Waffle House, but the Wawa afterwards. Man, this was the kind of game that you wanted to see. We had it circled for a long time, but a great way to start week number 1. My school, my alma mater takes the dub 35-13 over the Ricketts Raiders. And yeah, Ricketts is a really loaded team. They really got a lot of talent over there, but Gabi might be legit.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark, man. The magnitude of this game was crazy. I even heard from others that came into the barbershop that I work at this week that lines were stretching not only just outside the front, but even stretching all the way to where they set up the ticket booths for the North Florida Fair and had to even open up extra parking, which is the additional parking for the North Florida Fair. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, this game could have easily almost sold out real good at Bragg Memorial Stadium if you think about it, with almost the capacity of like 8,000 plus. But yeah, Godby coming away with this one, especially when it was only 21-7 at halftime. They said, "Nah, we got to keep it rolling," and they did.
Yeah, bona fide contender here, gang. I was convinced. I knew they were going to be solid this year, but I think this showed against a good Ricketts team. At least for me personally, I think better than expected. And I think the returns from what you're seeing early from Gabi are massive. Of course, you always want to say, hey, can we stay healthy? Can we keep this momentum going? Can we get it rolling? But it's really tough to stop this squad. I look at the offensive attack, and then, of course, you talked about the Waffle House, Mark. You've been on social media too much. Simmons is living rent-free in your head as a proud Godby alum. Here, of course, the big-time Clemson commit had his 2 touchdowns, but I liked what I saw from the other players. It's not like you can solely get on him. You've got the crafty Lakari Murray, which I think looked really good in the slot, and he's very dangerous. So you got to make sure you look out for him. And then, of course, you got the third component of that 3-headed monster in the receiving game. People sleep on Esteban because he's kind of flying under the radar, but he's a baller as well. He's a great counter opposite side for your Simmons. So if you put them on either side, these are some guys that are going to do some damage. And then, Mark, you look towards the backfield too. So it's not just the passing game. We like dual threat quarterback Landon Dougherty, excuse me. And so we have, that action going for him, dual threat, sneaky. Like you said, I think it was last week, Mark, one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the Big Bend, if not North Florida. And so that's bringing to the table as well. But let's even stay on the offensive side. I want to get to the defense, but I can't get there yet because they got the big bruiser, Cam McMillan. I remember the first time I saw him, October 4th, 2024. He was in a 70-0 blowout. But I remember seeing him as a sophomore, and they probably knew about it then.
Right.
But when I saw him then, I was like, this kid's going to be a baller, and he is legit. Of course, you can't have a big rusher without the offensive line. So credit to Godby for doing that against a good Rickards defense all night long. And then, of course, you get on the defensive side, you think about the linebacker core, Christian Bodeford. He's going to be roaming all the way around. And then, of course, Ja'Cory Davis on that defensive front. He had 2 sacks in a big-time effort here. So you start to spread it around, good front seven, electric offense. Those are 2 things that usually yield a lot of good results, gentlemen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm liking Godby right now. I'm still liking Rickards too. So I think this is week number 1. You kind of get a chance to get it corrected early. Still liking them. Still feel like they're a playoff contender. Godby looks like a playoff lock right now. This team is definitely one I'm definitely holding on to for right now. I'm really liking and they've got a huge test coming up this week against Mosley on the road. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But man, just what a matchup between these two. It was everything that we thought it was going to be early on until Godby pulled away and then shut the door. But yeah, Jude, to your point, this is a team that definitely has a lot of bright stars on both sides. So
yeah, one more thing, Mark, just before we kind of jump on. We kind of talk about the what if scenario, and we love a good hypothetical.
Right.
And I know when we do get some downtime, we kind of run through those what ifs, that kind of Marvel situation. I wonder, and so this double-edged sword here, but the early, I think, kind of wind out of the sails for Rickards on that opening kickoff. If it doesn't go down like it did, I wonder what the landscape of this game might have looked like. That's a big what if. Not that it wouldn't necessarily change the result,
Right.
but I wonder if it would have been a little more competitive. And I know that's one thing that I'm taking in from the very first play of the game and try to build it out. But I think it was a huge change as far as momentum. And that was something that the people that were at the game that I was talking to said really kind of took the wind out of the sails a little bit and really felt like a big uphill battle from there on.
Definitely. It's always those hidden factors that really determine a lot of these matchups. And, the bittersweet thing for me is that they're not in the same district. So it's like we don't get around too. So this will have to stand for the next year. But, man, Rickards definitely, both Rickards and Godby still have tough slates in front of them that will have major implications as they move down through the season. Let's keep it moving on. We're going to jump into our next one. This one was a little bit of a showdown too, mostly because we just trying to get a good look at the new look Gaston County Jaguars and then also the Wakulla War Eagles. So, I mean, for most, this was a little bit of a twinge of a mystery. We knew Wakulla definitely with the home field advantage and the stout offensive line, but not really too keen on what we're going to see from Gaston County. Other than that, this is going to be a determined team.
Yeah, absolutely. Props out to head football coach in his first year, Derek Allen, for the Wakulla War Eagles making his regular season debut. This was a good win. Definitely the team was up 20-7 at halftime, and there was like an extra 30-minute rain delay or so that kept halftime going for a long period of time. I wonder if that had any effect on the game, because I mean, it was still respectfully a 2-score game. So I thought to myself, this is giving teams time to, get some more, rest and kind of gather up their strength for a second half. But nah, the Wakulla War Eagles kept Gadsden County scoreless for the remainder of the game. That incredible offensive line and their defense just doing a good job keeping the Jaguars out of the end zone. I know this is a tough one for Coach Fish and the team, but they have an opportunity themselves to bounce back this upcoming Friday against a very good opponent. We'll get into that shortly. And for Wakulla, they'll have their first true road test coming up this Friday as well. I'm excited to see what this team will do on the road.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I really like the way that Wakulla's defense played. They just were kind of flying to the ball, and I forget the young man's name, had 3 picks on the night. just was a great, really great showing by the Wakulla defense. It's just it had one of those kind of feels to the game where it just seemed like, man, they just had Gaston County's number.
Look at that hit.
Yeah, big performance from Wakulla here, and I believe, obviously not only the delay, Eddie, but they ended up canceling this game. So, or not canceling it. Sorry, they ended up ending it early. So with the lightning delays, they were into the fourth quarter, but I think at the 9:18 mark they called it just because the storms were so off and on, and it was gonna get worse. And so, not only did you have the delays, but almost an entire quarter of football still to be played. Granted, Wakulla was up 3 scores by then, so I don't think it'd be much of a factor. But we shall see. That to be determined here.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup moving forward. But man, for Gaston County, man, you know that there's still a little bit of work to do there. I know they're still trying to gel and get on the same page, and this is a tough environment. Like, make no mistake, Wakulla could definitely be one of those teams to beat this year. And I think Gaston County, man, lucky for them, they got a good early test early. But yeah, still lots of work to do. But man, Wakulla, man, this could be a sneaky team. Moving forward, I definitely like their chances, especially if they continue to play like this. This could be a playoff lock team.
Yeah, and of course, I think the guy with 3 interception, Raheem Moore, is his name. Mark, I think he's trying to get on the phone with you. I think he wants a little appearance. He wants some screen time.
Yeah, gotta go ahead and open up the call lines here in just a minute. But yeah, Wakulla definitely look like, I mean, defensively, I mean, they just look scary. That, anytime when your secondary is moving around with that kind of speed, it's going to be a long night. So let's go ahead and keep the show rolling here. We got the next team coming up. We were on hand for this one. Great atmosphere, great way to open up things over at the Shack in Southwood, Florida High, taking on Navarre. And man, great atmosphere. We too were dodging the rain for a little bit. We only got a few sprinkles. It didn't stop gameplay, as it were. But man, the Knowles, man, that bend but don't break defense really, really did the trick. A lot of special teams play that just really had a whole lot to do with just the fact that they were able to pull away early. We got 2 great special teams plays out of the Seminoles. And, for Navarre, I mean, they won the possession battle, but Florida High, I mean, the scoreboard says what it says.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Multiple players just having fun in this game and scoring, from Aaron Johnson to Mike Jones and Ashton Callahan, both running the ball. They must have each averaged like 300 plus yards together, and each one scored. Even quarterback Bryson Brown connecting with a few of his receivers. Bubba Brown being one of them as well, the two-way player on both offense and defense. He also had a few good tackles. Even towards the end of the game, connected with Brady Hickman on a touchdown as well, and Campbell with a 50-yard field goal, his longest of the season. This was just a fun night over there at the Shack, and I'm liking this Florida High team. They're off to a great start. And they're going to have an interesting test for them just on the north side of Tallahassee, which I know we'll talk about here shortly. I'm excited for that matchup and might even head out there to check it out.
Yeah, wild one for them. Almost 450 yards offense, 18 tackles for loss, 7 sacks of Navarre, dominant. Like you said, special teams was absolutely massive. I think they had, 3 blocked kicks? I'll have to double check. It was at least two.
Block punt, block extra point, and blocked field goal.
Okay, so 3 total special teams blocks. Absolutely massive. The only thing looking for Florida High is picked up a lot of knocks in that game. So I'm hoping we get some bounce backs, and I'm hoping it's just a precautionary thing in it for the long haul. But that'd be the only thing I kind of for Florida High. But except for that kickoff return that they let up after they went up 14-0 there early in the game, basically a flawless game for Florida High. They looked absolutely fantastic out there on Friday night.
Yeah, I was really for me, I was very impressed with how the offense played. I think the main thing for them is that they just look ferocious, especially on their ground attack. They picked their spots. Definitely found a way to keep Navarre in a position of just kind of like not wanting to give up the big play. But Florida High looks absolutely dangerous. I was really impressed with what I saw. I'm looking forward to see how they run through their slate. This right now, Florida High looks like the front runner to me as well. They definitely look like a playoff team. Um, it's easy to kind of like come out in the first week and kind of coast a little bit, but Florida High looked like they were in mid-season form. Um, just a great opening victory for them. And yeah, here we go. We got the kick. Man, the
This
50
was the field
yarder.
goal.
The 50 yarder.
Just barely made it, but he made it right there. Oh my goodness. Just got over that crossbar.
Yeah, man, shout out to the kicker, man. Anybody that can give you some leg like that from 50 yards away is doing a ballerific job. Like a lot of what I saw was just Florida High taking advantage of opportunities like that. And anytime you can be in a position to do that, you're definitely going to be what I consider a playoff lock.
Very favorable. That's a very favorable district that they're in. Absolutely, and they're going to have quite a few. They'll have a good test with already a familiar foe, but you're also going to play two new additions too later on down the road.
So yeah, great win for the Seminoles out at the Shack. Coach Hickman, really was impressed with what they were able to do. Said they did a lot of things right. And really for the Noles, this is one of those where you want to really kind of get to those critical spots early. And I think they were tested in a way that kind of put their defense in some good positions. But man, shout out to the Noles on a big win. Let's keep it rolling. NFC taking on Franklin County, and don't look out now, man. How about them Seahawks? 2-0 on the year, the very early year, as it were. And, for Coach Cooper, this is one of those statement wins. I think this is probably one of their biggest road wins of all time in school history.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and this is a signature win for sure for Franklin County. Absolutely, especially also being in the SSAA Atlantic League division. This is going to help them climb up in the standings to be in the top 8 in the North region, especially a win against, NFC and, being a member of FHSAA. And they too are going to get ready to begin conference action as well. We'll talk about that later on, how that's going to go. But I like how this team plays. They're fast, they're quick. And to win on the road here in Tallahassee, I mean, that's quite... This game was in Tallahassee, right?
Yeah, it was
so
NFC.
Yeah, big statement win on the road. Very challenging place to win at.
One of the things man, just give it up to Cooper, man. He's been finding different ways. Not only, I would say, relevant in the sense that taking on bigger opponents, but like he has a cusp of something really big. I think this is going to be one of the better teams in the area this year, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they're going to look like come playoff time. But right now, I think they could be one of the front runners in the SSAA right now.
Yeah, and to add to that, Mark, I'm going to say right now with this win now at 2-0, they're right now sitting, if I'm not mistaken, when I saw earlier today, they're in the top 5. Like they're right now signified at 11. But if you were to like count conference play action, which they're about to start soon, and league play, they could be up in the top 5 right now. And that's going to position them very well. And I mean, just look how they play right here. Man, what a good run.
Yeah, that might have been one of Millander's 3 touchdowns, guys. He went bananas. He went from 126, 3 touchdowns. Our boy Sadiq Jones averaging 14 yards a carry in this contest, gang.
Yep.
Big effort for the all-time winningest coach in Franklin County history. And one of the 2 teams in our coverage area that's 2-0. We're down to only 22 undefeated teams, gang.
Just 22. Just 22. But yeah, statement win by Franklin County coming into coming into Tallahassee and then getting a huge win. The way Coach Cooper, I mean, a lot of what we've seen is just a lot of just physicality. I knew this would be one of the more physical contests, but man, with the way Franklin County's schedule stacks up, they with a statement win like this, I wouldn't be surprised if they started the season 5-0. Definitely buying.
Put him, yeah.
I'm definitely
put him in the
holding
driver's
on to
seat.
the Franklin County Seahawks.
Yep. Puts him in the driver's seat right now, in my opinion, to shoot for that number 1 seed when it comes to the end of the season. But we'll see. Long season ahead of us, and I'm excited for them.
So big win for Franklin County. Moving on, we've got a few others that I know we needed to get to. So this one, I think we waited around until, I think, what was it? We were in the fourth quarter at Florida High. We were checking in on this game, and a lot of what we were hearing was that it just kind of fell off a map a little bit, and we weren't really sure because we weren't getting any score updates. But man, got to go ahead and talk about it. Definitely have to talk about Trojan Magic here. I'm not sure. A lot of what I've seen from Lincoln is just, man, you just can't count them down when they're in the fourth quarter like that. I don't care. I don't care what kind of lead you think you may have. This is not a team that you can just set aside and just think that you can coast a victory. And this was a real struggle for Lincoln. I think they were tested early by the Crestview offense. Just really put them in some awkward situations there before the defense was able to clamp down. Offensively, Lincoln, it took them even longer to kind of get into a rhythm, but when it counted, it certainly did. For the Trojans, for them to be able to pull out a 13-10 victory over Crestview really is a statement to just being able to look at how the program has really come along and developed over the past several little, I would say, just those little increments in the preseason we saw where everybody kind of got a chance to. I think there was a scrimmage as well where there were a few opportunities just to kind of see glimpses of what Lincoln had. But man, this was one of those wins where it's just like, man, it just feels good to be 1-0.
Yeah, absolutely, Mark. Anytime you get a good win on the road against a very challenging environment like they have over there in Crestview, that is huge. And I mean, we were keeping tabs on this game for the longest. It was scoreless, and then we found out it was 10-3 for the longest. And by the end of the night, boom, Trojan Magic came through, and we saw the victory right there, as you can see on your screen, winning by 3 at that.
Buzzer beater too. Got it all the way down there. Crestview had a great stand. Like you said, Mark, a little Trojan Magic. Kicked it, beat the buzzer for the game winner. Baron Burris with the game winner.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really digging the way that Lincoln just dialed it up. Just having complete total faith in their quarterback, taking the chance to just kind of drop back and find the open receiver, streaking down the sidelines, no less. And I was trying to find a clip of it, courtesy of Chad White was out there on hand for that one. And it was just a beautiful play design, just kind of took a minute for it to develop, but one of those signature plays where it's just like, you got to have it. And for Lincoln, I think it just had to do more so with just how the team just hung in there, especially the defense. Defense really clamped down when they needed to. And you can see a few highlights coming up here from that game. A lot of it just had to do with just Lincoln being, I would say, defensively, they were dialed in because there were a few kind of miscues where I think that, for the most part, you want to just kind of keep your composure. And for Lincoln, that was just kind of how they were able to fare going down the stretch.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's not like the defense clamped up. Defense was there the whole time. They were keeping this in this ball game, and hearing some things about Lincoln of how they were looking to kind of improve the offensive execution going into this week, but defense kept them in the ball game. and you get to the end of the game and it's still one-score game late in the fourth quarter. That's what it's all about. That's what complimentary football is all about. And here's Hutch in his first year starting. We were wondering what we would see from Hutchinson, and able to lead the boys on that big fourth quarter drive to bring it home.
Yeah, definitely like what I saw out there in Crestview. Was hoping to pull up the play. We'll get that pulled up later. This might be it coming up. Nope, that's a handoff. But man, great victory by the Trojans. And this is kind of one of those where you needed to have it. You got what you needed out of your guys, and a great victory for Lincoln as they move to 1-0. Big matchup coming up next week. We'll talk about that in a minute. They go across state lines to take on Thomas County Central here.
Indeed. Sometimes you got to fight through, Mark.
Eddie, we were keeping an eye on this one. I know you were especially, man. Leon able to come from behind and pull it out at the last few moments. Not in the last few moments, in the last few moments of the first half. Second half was all Lions. They just kind of cruised. 42-24. Great opening win for Leon against Fernandina Beach. This one really wasn't on our radar at first. But man, Leon definitely made a statement win. This is how you want to start the season, 1-0. And for the Lions, I think this is a group that's looking to make some noise, but time will tell, and we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And props out to Coach Bell, his staff. I don't know what they said to those young men to kind of turn things around in the second half, but props out to the defense for keeping Fernandina Beach scoreless in that entire second half, helping the offense outscore them 35-0, and to be down by 10 to come back and win by 18. This is a really good win. They do it in Leon fashion, winning at Bobby Benson Field, which, if I'm not mistaken, in the past 6.5 years, they've only lost on that field twice. So they love winning on campus, and there's no greater feeling. Trust me, I know.
Yeah, Manassa is a beast on defense, and then Knippel's shades of brilliance there, getting his go this year, the full ride at least. And so we saw some productivity from the quarterback position. But Manassa, man, mean on defense. Make sure you keep an eye on him.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he had 5 sacks in the game.
Yeah, for Leon, that was probably one of the more offensively sound, productive games that I've seen from them in a long time. Started out the game scoreless in the first quarter. Fernandina Beach really poured it on at halftime. 24-14 was the score. But Leon, man, quarters 2, 3, 4, man, absolutely stellar. Just kind of poured it on offensively. I think they found their niche. Great play by the offensive line, protecting the quarterback, keeping him and his jersey clean. But I definitely like what I saw of the Leon offensive production last Friday. That was, I think that could be the spark of the beginning of something good going over there at Leon High School. Great home win for them. But yeah, Leon, jury's still out, but yeah, this could be a team that could be, in a sneaky position later on, depending on how they play and how they fare.
Yeah, if they stay healthy and everything. However, though, the schedule in the new district is very challenging for them. A lot is set up in motion, I feel like, against them. But this is what, football is about sometimes. How do you, approach that? How do you face that head on? And they got a lot of learning to do still. This is a good win to build off of. And now you have a good opponent that you're already familiar with from last season's close meeting. So we'll see how that goes next week when they're on the road taking on Bozeman.
Yeah, that's going to be a big matchup there for Leon, just to try and keep the burner hot, really, for them. We saw how things can kind of be up and down. They look like, to me, they just had just some near misses last season, and just couldn't really take advantage of certain things, but I think they're in a better position now. And this is one of the victories that this is one of those games where you need kind of victories like this to stay relevant, kind of keep the season in front of you. So a big win for Leon. And let me see if I can move to our last team. We'll get that pulled up in just a second. But this one, I had me kind of excited, man. I was really happy to see this one. Uh, they were struggling for a second, but man, it was a little back and forth, and then we were a part of the game. And for me, I think I just love the smaller school football, man. It's some of the most entertaining games you ever gonna see. So let's go ahead and get into one of our last bigger games of the week number one slate. How about them Gators, man? We were pulling out the victory 30-24 over Petula Charter. One of the things that I really liked, just and I think that was their coach in his first year getting the first win at Wewa. Man, it's just one of those where it's just like we saw a little bit of this going back and forth, but yeah, Wewa Hitchcock able to come from behind and get the victory, going away, starting out the season 1-0. So had a chance to talk to this team in media day, man, and just was very impressed by the way they just seem to be, even in transition. It's always tough when a new coach takes over. But this team seemed like they had already been gelling together for quite a bit. So, and I think I got some stats here off to the side. But yeah, 16 points in the second quarter. Really that was, to me, that was kind of the statement quarter just before half, where we were really climbing back into the driver's seat of the game, never looked back. And then defensively, just really shutting things down going into the fourth quarter. Gators get the win, starting out 1-0 on the season. And I think we got some other scores to get into. There were so many games we really wanted to highlight, but just for noteworthy reasons, we were getting that first dub in a long time. Just definitely wanted to give a shout out to the Gators. There's still plenty of more football to be played. Let's work our way through the other scores from week number one. And I think we had quite a few games. I think we had close to like 31 games. It was insane, week number one.
So much football, especially which began on Thursday, that led into that landscape of extra games on Friday.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump into it. We already talked about Rickers and Godby, Mosley and Choctaw linked up. Mosley getting the big win, 15-13 over the Indians. Man, that was a good win for Mosley too, taking down Choctaw again. For the Dolphins, Coach Whitten, we got a chance to see Sammy Chisholm really play a pivotal part in this game. Felt like it was a really good win for the Mosley Dolphins to open up week one. Then we got a few other scores from around the area. Arnold takes it over Freeport 27-21. I almost picked that game. Because I know Arnold came from behind to win that one too. Could have gone either way. Bay just ran out of time. I don't think Dothan takes that one 35-28 over Bay. Man, Bluntstown picking right up where they left off from last season with a huge 49-14 win to open up the season. For Bluntstown, this is this is one of those where I really felt like, there was so much, there's almost too much talent down here in Bluntstown right now for the Tigers. And then, of course, definitely don't want to skip over, but Columbia, the monster, come from behind win in the last moments. And I had this one pulled up for a second. This was an absolute, probably one of the best games I saw over the weekend. And I know I have a highlight somewhere. Let me see if I can pull that down. But yeah, I think we talked about it just a few minutes ago. But yeah, that being able to watch him tiptoe in, getting into the end zone, a great win for Columbia. Moving on, we got our other games. Like I said, there were 31. I think I counted 31.
Roughly 31.
I think it was 30, Mark, but a lot of games, to your point.
Lots of them.
All right, so keeping it rolling, we got Cottondale, a big winner over North Bay Haven, 30-20. FAMU DRS falls to Abbeville Christian, 31 to, I believe, 31-18. Graceville returning to the Tigers, but unfortunately they fall in their season opener, 37-6 to Central. Hamilton County, man, so close. Just got edged by Bell. Couldn't complete the comeback, 26-28. Trojans fall. Holmes County, a big winner over Fort Dale, 49-10. Lafayette falls to Maclay. Maclay, a monster win on the road, a shutout at that, 38-0. Madison County, a big winner over Lecanto, 38-0. Already had a chance to talk about the Leon win over Fernandina Beach. Mariana falls to Tate, 40-13. Port St. Joe, man, this was almost a little unnerving for a second. We didn't know whether to put this one at, but Tiger Sharks fall to Destin, 53-3, and so we haven't heard much about Destin. They could, according to this, they could really be like that this year.
Yeah, and they've been on the rise. You see them incrementally improving there. Could have got a big class, and it's a big school over there.
So Destin on the come up, a big win over Port St. Joe. Union County, a big winner over Rutherford. And this one was just, man, Rutherford, man, it was right there. It was right there. I mean, I know they've been in close games, seems like, for the past 2 years, and I know the Rams are knocking on the door, but unfortunately, week one was not their week. Rams fall 35-34. Swanee, a big winner over Crystal Rivers. They shut out the Pirates 35-0. Dixie County all over Vernon, 41-6. And then South Walton, a big win over Gulf Breeze, a shutout win to open the season, 50-0. And then last little bit of scores from week number one, Walton, man, and this is a team you're going to have to keep an eye on. Walton was a huge win over West Florida Tech, and that was 52-7. And then we will Hitchcock already had a chance to talk about them Gators getting the first win of the game. Really just for week number one, this is kind of what we expected as far as like the number of big games. It's always difficult week number one. There's so many contests going on, but man, it to me seems like we have a good idea as to who looks like a good mix of playoff teams kind of in that bunch.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm excited to see as the season goes on, like which teams we're going to see be labeled for their state playoffs, whether they're FHSAA or SSAA, and which teams may be, if they're not in the playoffs, possibly be considered also for the Florida Invitational tournaments as well. They are bringing those back, ladies and gentlemen, by the way. So yeah, lots of football, lots of possibilities to be determined. And even in this week's matchups coming up, will also say a lot.
Indeed. And I think we're going to crown state champions next week, right, gang? Aren't we doing our state champ predictions after week 2? Isn't that what we usually do?
That's what we got to do
it. I got my picks. I got my nominees. Let's go.
I'm going to work on it. I'm going to work on mine.
All right, so we got Bluntstown taking on Bay. Let's go ahead and get into the preview for week number 2. And, a lot of what I'm seeing is that, like, we're looking at teams, we're trying to determine where they fit. For me, this game really shows up on my radar because I know Bay has a bitter taste in their mouth from week number 1. They played a very good Dothan team, I think, very well. For them to be able to put up 28 points, come within a touchdown, being able to tie the game up. For Bluntstown, it's just business as usual. But I think these teams really matched up very well last year. It was a very entertaining ball game. To be able to watch both teams, I think it's just going to come down to how can they control each other's weapons. Both teams can be awfully explosive early and often, and for me, this comes down to, of course, trench warfare. I'm looking forward to seeing how each's defensive and offensive fronts handles the other, whether they can create some space, get after the quarterback, or is it going to be one big play after another. To me, this is one of those games where it can either come down to, hey, we're going to light up the scoreboard and we're probably going to see 100+ points up. I could easily see in this being like a 45, 55 kind of point game, on either side, or it could be the lowest scoring game ever.
I think it's going to vary on both teams' defenses, on how they perform and show up, and also who is to be the first one to strike first in this game. Being one of the best teams coming out of the Panama City area this season. Bluntstown looking to get back to that last game of the season, but this year it's a whole new field as Rule no longer exists and making their debuts as a Class 1A. So this is a big game, I think, for both teams. I'm looking forward to seeing how the Tigers do against Bay High.
Yeah, got to be fierce, fast, focused in the front seven, gang. Got to stop the run game for Bluntstown, otherwise it's going to be a long night. Hey, that quarterback, though. How about that 8th grader? B-Dub Jr. Not bad. How about it? Class of 2031. Look out.
Yeah, yeah, but Brad Jr. is definitely going to be up there. He's, Coach Wagner just got him tucked off in there, just kind of hiding him. But, yeah, I can definitely see the future. Looks bright. Kenyon Martin, just, 157 on the ground, and Jamarlin Huntley. That's really going to be two of your key matchups there at running back. Rushing yards, Bluntstown has the edge, but, give credit to Bay being able to put up 325 on the ground against a very good Dothan team. Just coming up a little bit short there. But like I said, I think come down to you're probably going to see Bluntstown try to run the ball, and you're going to probably try to see Bay pass the ball a little bit more, just looking for those explosive playmakers. And for Bluntstown, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I think for Bay, they're just going to try and air it out and do what they do best.
And it kind of seemed like last year plus when Bay was kind of in that comeback mode, or kind of flying around and kind of playing some backyard football type. I know it's more complicated than that, but when they had that maybe sense of urgency or that kind of carefree attitude, I think it was kind of one of the two that it was a real sweet spot for them. And we saw them do some really crazy things last year. So Looking forward to it. Clash of Styles.
Let's keep it
rolling. They did that a lot.
Maclay taking on Rutherford. We will be on hand for this one. 4 Quarters Online will be live streaming this one live. So to answer your question, I think we had a question come in not too long ago.
Yeah, the chat was asking about it, Mark. There you go.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah.
Appleman, yes, we will be out there. 4 Quarters Online will not miss a Maclay game. We also won't miss a Florida High game, except for maybe 1 or 2. And we definitely won't be missing a Lincoln Trojan home game. So those are the 3 schools that we might, you never know what we might be. The 4 Quarters Online team is completely mobile. We might just pop up. There's a rumor we might pop up at Godby versus Catholic. Not sure yet, but there's a little birdie just kind of said, man, I was listening to the whispers in the ethos, and it was just like, oh, Godby. So we might end up over there, plus a few other places. So definitely looking at how this game is going to match up, man. For Maclay, man, they looked awfully formidable down in Lafayette last week. Being able to hang a 50-piece on the road is definitely a statement win. For Rutherford, it's for them. I think the frustration is mounting, man, because these kids are really hungry for a win. I know it's about being able to put together a complete ball game, but Rutherford continues to come up short, and this could be a huge test for them with Maclay at home. But I'm definitely liking the way these two teams match up together.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how Rutherford will do against the speed tactics that Maclay has had in the past and what they're going to do this season as well. But make no mistake, the Rutherford Rams, though, in that game that they were down against Union County, finding a way to come back and just lose closely in that one by a point. This is a team that is just very eager for a victory. And this is not their first trip to Tallahassee. They got another one later on down the road. But absolutely, it's going to be a good scene over there at Maclay. So I'm excited for this one for you guys. Play-by-play announcing it.
Yeah, I hope Rutherford brings the band, gives us.
Well, Eddie, you always invited, man. You pop up anytime. No, for this one, definitely how these two teams match up.
Yeah, McClay's been really capitalizing the last couple of years on kind of a predatory attack. Hey, if you turn the ball over, we're going to make you pay. Richardson had a big week last week. I expect some big things for him once again.
Yeah, and this will help McClay out, I think, a lot too on like strength of schedule, style, points, and everything, because this is a good 1A versus 2A matchup, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. So this, I think, is a big game for both teams, especially on McClay's side of it, you know, looking to climb up in statistics and standings as the season goes on.
Yeah, you got to win. You got to win now. All the points matter. It's still an evil world we live in, as Future would say. But when it comes down to the end of the season, you don't want to be caught up just in the whole point slide. You want to make sure you got your ducats in a row come playoff time. So I think for every team right now, especially for the Marauders, you want to distance yourself from the pack early. Man, I just look for offenses to kind of let loose, given the toughness of the districts and how things are stacking off. I just expect teams to just kind of like, man, hey, throw the floodgates open. Let's see what we can do. So yeah, McClay, I really do feel like they do match up fairly well, though. For Rutherford, I think the offensive explosiveness can definitely be there if they can cut down on the miscues. 341 yards on the ground for Rutherford last week, so it's there. The running game is definitely there. Jamarian Blunt, we talked about him last year. The 189 yards on the ground. That's on any other night that would have been a stellar performance. Just it came up short. So Jaleel Reed, the quarterback, accounted for 330 all-purpose yards. For McClay, this is more of the passing air raid attack that we've been used to seeing. 250 passing yards last week. So they on paper they look similar, but man, we definitely will have to see how these two teams will match up for Rutherford. I think this team just has to get into a rhythm early if they're going to contest in this ball game. So I'm keeping it rolling. We got to talk about this one because, man, this is a monster matchup for Lincoln. Man, you thought the test came last week. Nah, that was just a preview test. This is the real one. Lincoln Trojans at Thomas County Central. Man, we were hoping to try and see how this would work on our slate, but unfortunately, we're going to have to wait for the season opener at Gene Cox to sync our live stream into play. But man, Lincoln will be, I would say, probably taking on their biggest opponent on their schedule so far.
This is, yeah, I mean, respectfully speaking, when I say this, I'm still thinking about what Thomas County Central did to Florida High last season, and that was pretty brutal. So and I think Lincoln is well aware of what happened in that particular matchup. But at the same time, it's like when you're a good team in your area of competition, you want to play the best. And truly, Thomas County Central is one of those standout programs in the South Georgia region, the whole state of Georgia at that. So this is what it is to play good teams, especially if you're a playoff team yourself moving forward. You're going to have to face teams of that caliber. And I'm excited for them going on the road. That's gonna be a very challenging place to play in. So looking forward to seeing that matchup.
Going to the Jacket's Nest is always a dangerous thing to do, especially of late. So,
Hey, gang, and brutal schedule coming for Lincoln. Next 4 games at Thomas County Central versus Trinity Christian, Jacksonville Trinity Christian, at Rickards, at Colquitt County, at Mosley. Sorry, next 5. Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
just put some Tabasco on. That's hot.
Yeah.
That's spicy. That's definitely spicy. For Lincoln, I think the keys to the game here are going to be very simple. You got to contain Aiden McPherson. And that's no easy. That's definitely not going to be an easy feat to do. Aiden just averaging about a 196 on the, a little over 150 on the ground so far this season, this short season. Receiving yards, the top guy is definitely going to be Aiden White. Lincoln holds the advantage, in my opinion, in the passing game. But Thomas County Central, no slouch on defense. They definitely got a stout secondary. I look for, in my opinion, I definitely look for Lincoln to take their shots early on. But this is one of those, man, if Thomas County Central, and they definitely can, this is a team that is a threat to put up 21 in the first quarter no matter who they're playing. And I think for Lincoln defensively, they just got to clamp down. If you can survive the first two series, maybe 2 to 3 series from Thomas County Central, and kind of keep them out of the end zone, you definitely got a chance in this ball game.
Always a chance.
Yeah, and this isn't, just to be clear, this isn't put down on Lincoln here. This is a perennial state championship potential team up there in 6A. Big Bowl in Georgia, absolute beasts up there, and they've had it rolling for some time. I think, what was it, just last season they got they were 5A title last year. They're back up into 6A. But
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, I think they ran the table 15-0 last year.
Yeah.
Yep, complete perfect season.
Yeah, this is a team that you definitely want to be on the lookout for. But I think for Lincoln, hopefully they got the Trojan magic in the jar. I just look at it as one of those where this team definitely has what it takes. Just being able to contain the playmakers out of Thomas County Central, and that's going to be a tall order. But this team defensively, I think they're still figuring themselves out. That was a really tough, matchup out at Crestview. And I think they showcase what they can do defensively. They kept the Bulldogs out of the end zone, and especially they were able to get the Bulldogs offense off the field on third down. And, if you can find a way to replicate that in another tough environment, probably the toughest one they're going to be in, I think they have a great, great opportunity here. Keeping it rolling, Franklin County taking on Sneeze. Seahawks got something brewing down there on the beach. Man, this looks like a really good matchup for the Seahawks.
Yes, and ladies and gentlemen, this is the first meeting of the brand new reestablished Apalachicola Valley Conference matchup between Franklin County and Sneeds.
Say it again for the people.
Yeah.
It's the Apalachicola Valley Valley Conference.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes, that is the name. It's 4 schools: Franklin County, Sneeds, Cottondale, Liberty County. Those are your 4 right now that are part of this conference. And of course, whoever goes a perfect 3-0 in this conference, you are deemed the champions. And plus, that helps you get into that final 8 spot of the North region of the Atlantic League Division. Probably helps you out in seeding and playoff as well. So this is a big and very important game for both programs, especially Coach Cooper and Franklin County, and Sneeds as well, looking to get their first victory of the season. I mean, that was a tough one against Usilla Christian, but this is an opportunity right here to not only get your first win, but to also go 1-0 in the conference standings. For Franklin County to be 3-0 and to be 1-0 in conference play, plus it's a league game still, this climbs you up in the standings of the North region of the Atlantic League Division to where you can position yourself to be in the top 5. So big, important game right here, ladies and gentlemen. The first meeting between 2 Apalachicola Valley Conference teams.
I didn't know Apalachicola was a valley.
Me neither. But according to local, media news and stuff like that, it was once a historic conference that existed decades ago, and now it's back. History will find a way to repeat itself, and not just with this conference, ladies and gentlemen. There are several other conferences being formed throughout the state of Florida that exist inside the SSAA, whether you're an open 11-man division school like Usilla Christian, or if you're a part of the league like Franklin County and Sneeds, and several of those rural schools as well that are now in this league. Majority of them are in the Atlantic League Division. So yeah, definitely. I didn't know either, but I'm excited. Conference action, league action. Hey, you gotta love it, man. it's something different, you know, and I like it.
Yeah, and Mark, just to kind of put an emphasis on that. So, of course, you have just outside of Bristol, you have Torreya State Park, known as the Mountains of Florida, with
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
a towering 200-foot above sea level. So that cascades into the Franklin County Apalachicola St. George situation. So from the from the huge elevation that we have in Bristol all the way down, that's the Oyster City Valley, as it were.
Yeah, I'm liking the new conference names. I'm digging that. I'm digging that. Got a little bit of college football flavor right here in the Panhandle. I'm loving it.
Yeah, this will
So
be huge. Just to jump in, sorry, Mark. This will be huge for Franklin County. Bragging rights. They've lost 11 of the last 12 against Sneads, but they haven't played since 2022. So this feels like the best shot in quite some time. So I think this is going to be a really good ball game. Physical in the trenches,
Wow, I
gentlemen.
did not know that. Oh, so definitely even more. You just added even the cherry on top of the cake right there. There's even more meaning now to this conference matchup.
yeah, Sneeze is really going to have to put a lot of work in if they want to. I definitely saw a few flashes against Oscilla, but not enough really. And this is a Sneeze team or Sneeze is a program that's used to running the ball effectively, and so they're in a little bit of like a youth gap, and they've got kind of they're taking on some different types of teams lately. I do look at it as like this is a team I expect to kind of get the ground game going, but you know that signature running game has definitely got to come out for them. For I would say, man, for Franklin, it's really just, man, let's see what Caden Drake can do. You got Sadiq Jones already in the wings, but man, Caden Drake, excuse me, is just having a monster first two games. The start of his season is going phenomenal. I look for him to be, kind of one of those players towards the end of the year that's in the top of the stats column. But I like Franklin's chances here to move to 3-0. I'm definitely buying the Seahawks, man. But yeah, I think that's just really it for Sneeze. You got to figure out what to do with those two playmakers. Up next, Gadsden County taking on Madison County, and man, Jaguars getting the boys at home. But man, Madison, man, they looked awfully dangerous last week against Lecanto.
Absolutely, man. Shutout victory, 38-0. Props out to quarterback Chad Mitchell, if I pronounced that correctly. 69 passing yards, a touchdown in the game, and of course, wide receiver Michael Pride also had 2 receptions and a touchdown. Keep an eye out on that duo this Friday night. I mean, this is a big test for Gadsden County right here. And they're gonna need it all. Everything from the whole team, including the crowd too. This is their first home game of the season out there in the Quincy area, so I'm expecting a full packed house for this one. But man, yeah, to play against the Madison County Cowboys, this is a good strength of schedule as well for Gadsden County. This will help them, I believe, in the long run. Especially when they get into district play themselves to become a playoff team. So Coach Fish and his team are going to have a very big test ahead of them in this first home game. Same could be said for Madison County too. I will say, do not take the Jaguars lightly in this matchup. Same could be said for the Jaguars. They know what to expect with this high-powered offense that Madison County has.
Yeah, Madison didn't have to put up a whole lot in the stat column. I mean, 200 yards all purpose on the total offense. I think what their defense did is won the field position battle because Madison was working with a short field against Lecanto most of the evening. And so I look for Madison just to be very opportunistic on defense. Don't be surprised if they also dominate the turnover battle too. Again, this is what Madison likes to do very well. They like to stick it to you in the third phase of the game. And it's just one of those where, you really got to contain what Madison can do on the ground. But if you fall behind in the field position battle with Madison County, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a long night. And it's just one of those things. And that's how they scored so fast. They're oftentimes starting their drives in their own red zone. or at least on the short side of the field. So that's the key to this one right here. Can Gadsden County kind of flip the field and make Madison make those long drives? If you can get a chance to do that, you definitely got a chance in this one. But I also like Gadsden County at home. This team plays different at home. The atmosphere is different. So I wouldn't be surprised. This game would not shock me if it was close. Definitely could see a low scoring game. I think for Coach Fish, they're really going to try and make some improvements. Again, going down to Wakulla and going to Crawfordville is a tough place to play your opening game. Kind of working out some of the kinks. But for Gadsden County, that's really the key there. Let's figure out how the Jaguars can kind of play the field position battle and win.
Yeah, and this one's wild. It feels like a Tallahassee sandwich, gang. You have one of the best teams out from the west of Tallahassee and one of, as we know, Madison County from the east of Tallahassee going at it. Boom, us right in the middle. But oddly enough, these teams don't really play a whole lot. So you go back, and if we're going strictly off of not necessarily a football schedule, but strictly off a timeline that we have here, it's been over 20 years since Gadsden's beat Madison, from what I can find in the old record book.
Wow, does that
further than that? You may have to go back to.
That's what I'm saying.
Does that go back?
The records that I trust, Mark, only go back that far.
I was about to say, does that go back to their days as Shanks?
Quincy Shanks, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I wonder if some Quincy Shanks people can weigh in on that one. That's a good question. It has, because anytime you start dipping into where before the Gadsden County merger, even with West Gadsden, the records get kind of sporadic. So I would love to be able to pull up some old Havana Gladiator records, some old Quincy Shanks records, and see, kind of where that lies. But that's a very interesting point, Jude.
Oh yeah, and that's a good point, Mark. So I think this would be a just with the structure of it, I think this would be a cannibalized, grandfathered in East Gadsden situation,
right?
Which would post date that merger. But yes, at least as far as what we have from what we can see. So that would be a good question. Because that right around that 2000s is when things started to get wacky, with all the mergers and the whatever.
It was to me, that period of time was there was a lot of shit. There were so many schools that were opening around that time. I remember Fort White opening around that time. Several other schools just kind of shifted the landscape, and all the old districts kind of went away with the constant just being able to consolidate everything. So it's still going to be a little bit of a, but I would love to be able to find some record books. So we're going to have to hunt that down, put the documentary hat on, and see if we can go digging in the archives. Pull up some definitely stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into this one. NFC, the battle of the bounce back. NFC taking on Port St. Joe. Both teams kind of reeling, but for the most part, the Eagles get another chance at home to kind of, right the ship, as it were. Both teams kind of looked jilted a little bit. There were a little bit flashes here and there, but for NFC, I think they just got really just kind of put in an off-balance situation. Never seen them get a chance to recover. And then for me, I'm just a little bit of disbelief with the Destin score. Just did not expect to see that. So both teams still kind of in the running, but definitely need to get some work done here. And it's a great opportunity with NFC hosting Port St. Joe. Looking at how this game breaks down for me is, can NFC sustain some drives here? If they get a chance to kind of get the rhythm going on offense, especially on the ground, they got some really sharp kids there, especially running the football. They have some playmakers that they can kind of get the ball in their hands, create some space, but it'll be maintaining blocks and getting the offensive line in alignment with the rest of the offense. I think just cutting down on those miscues so you can sustain those drives. NFC could win this by 3 yards in a cloud of dust just on the ground, but I really like the way that they match up with Port St. Joe. This might be the tune-up that both teams need. For the Tiger Sharks, you got to be able to put up that signature rushing game. I'm not sure if it's running back by committee right now, but I do see that where if Port St. Joe can get a running back to emerge from that core group, this might be a dangerous team as well. Remember last year, Port St. Joe had a little bit of a slow start, and then in a flurry of games, they just turned it on. Like, so this is a team that might start slow. You never know. So we're not going to count them out yet. But for NFC, I think there's a huge statement here for them to make, just being able to right the ship at home and get back on the winning side of things. This was a team that barely missed the playoffs last year, and is really trying to put the pieces together. And to me, it's win early, win often, and win big if you want to be able to secure that playoff bid, especially in the 1A classification.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, these two are 1A schools. They're just in separate districts, I believe. But yeah, big important game on both sides. One thing about week 2 in high school football, you have your fair share of teams that are meeting each other with the same record when it comes to 0-1. So in other words, somebody's winning Friday night, and I think the NFC faithful would like it to be them for sure. But make no mistake, though, Port St. Joe, like you said, Mark, last season we saw this with the Tiger Sharks, where they had on and off sparks in the beginning, but really couldn't find their rhythm. They were doing a good job, like competing and keeping up with opponents, win or lose. And it wasn't until the end we saw them, turn the leaf and, get into that strong finish. So this is a big, important game, especially for both teams with, later on down the road playoff implications, or if they squeeze into the Florida Invitational. But knowing NFC, they want the playoffs this year, so this is going to be a game that they definitely need.
Yeah, Arius Burt has to get the ball too. I think for the young man, he looked like he was just kind of caged a little bit. He was trying to find some creases here and there, and just couldn't, really kind of, find that key block that was going to spring him to the second level. So, but again, also this is where getting into sync with your offensive line, because I know there's still a little bit of just trying to figure things out in week number 1. So NFC definitely has a great opportunity to bounce back here. Let's go ahead and run through the other games on the slate. There's still a lot that I didn't get a chance to really dive into. This is kind of like, man, the plate is still very full. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, but let's go ahead and jump into it. Childs and Florida High over there out in the woods. I like this matchup. I really like what I saw from Florida High. We didn't get a chance to really dive into Childs too much, but the Timberwolves, man, hung a 50-piece to start the season last week, and that's a big way. Anytime you hang half 100, you're getting back into midseason form. Childs was a team that went deep in the FIT last year. We saw a lot of just good components from them. They had a good, strong core nucleus of young guys that have come back this year. I definitely like the way they match up against Florida High. With the home field advantage, you never know. Florida High may have their hands full, but for Childs, I think the key to this game is you got to be able to stop. I think it's Chambers, and you definitely got to be able to stop Bubba Brown. That offensive attack on the ground is absolutely devastating. They find creases, they get to the second level, and if you're not in position, that play is going all the way. We saw from Florida High how fast they can score. This is going to be an explosive team that Childs defensively is going to have to contain.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Looking forward to that matchup and a lot of these other exciting matchups that we see right here. Mosley and Godby, wow, man, coming off an amazing victory over Rickards. But Mosley had that close one with Choctaw, winning by 2 on Thursday night. Man, that is definitely going to be a good one that a lot of people are going to keep their eye out on.
Yeah, and kind of going back to that Florida High Childs game, I think this would be a great test for Childs to see kind of a litmus test of where they are. Obviously, with the schedule changes from a couple teams in the area having to switch things up, this was kind of one of those late switch bouts from what I've heard, and it kind of felt like if we were on the collegiate level, kind of felt like one of those money games guys, but not
Right.
like a North Carolina A&T ECU get me my money type game. It was more like just one of those like come up here, get beat, and then we'll send you back home. But they took care of that 1A squad. It'll be interesting to see. I think the key is going to be on that offensive front with Sam Farmer and the offensive line. That's the kind of matchup I'm going to watch because we saw how mean that defensive front for Florida High was last week. I think it was 18 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. They got to protect Philly, the Casey Philly, the quarterback here, kind of keep him upright. And they're going to try to get the run game going. You saw Lundy and Mitchell run wild last week, so we'll see if they can do the same thing. For Florida High, once again, I'm looking for the health. How healthy are they coming into this matchup? They looked great last week, and I think they're deep. But, if they're going to win, I believe their 5th straight over Childs. They've won 6 out of the last 7, but I think they've won 4 in a row. But it's been a close game every single time that they've played here lately. The last 4 games decided by a total of 17 points. That's an average of 4.25 points per game, gang. So less than a touchdown in the last, I think, going back 6 years or so.
Ooh, just one score. That says a lot when you look at this matchup between these two.
Yeah, I think that by and large, when you look at why it's so close, like sometimes, it really comes down to just the output and production of both teams, which is fairly matched evenly here for their opening wins. But for Childs, I think for them to be able to kind of secure a home victory, Marcus Lindy and Jarrell Washington, Case Philly and Jarrell Washington got to be in sync. If these two can link up early and often, it could be because we saw what Navarre was able to do to Florida High, being able to sustain those drives, and that was kind of the difference maker in that one. Where the Seminoles defense stepped up and was able to kind of get them off the field in those critical moments. Like we said, bend don't break. But man, Navarre just absolutely, they had Florida High on the field for I think it was almost, I think it was like close to between 10 and 14 minutes straight. Just Florida High just not able to get off the field on 3rd down. So if Childs can find those ripples, and I definitely know those guys are going to watch film, but if Childs can find those little ripples, man, Florida High could be in for a little bit of a rude awakening. And I do know that, Coach Harley, defensive coordinator over there at Florida High, is going to try to get that fixed. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our next preview here. Yeah, Eddie, you kind of teased it a little bit, but let's go ahead and talk about it. Mosley, Godby, and this one we actually do have the graphic for this one. we actually made one for this one.
This is a really good one, I feel like.
It's going to be more than good. It's going to be great. Cougars, explosive offense. Mosley at home. Man, Dolphins with the incredible staving off of Choctaw to take the victory in week number 1 on Thursday night. Godby coming right back, handling Rickards in grand fashion at home. Cougars get the early road test. And this is going to come down to just playmaker versus playmaker. Sammy Chisholm, really for Mosley, is that's their running game. And I mean, this is not just an ordinary back. This is a shifty back. This is a guy that's hard to bring down, great in open space, hits the second level, and has plenty of ability to take it to the house, especially if your defense is out of position. But I think Godby showed great linebacker play against Rickards. That was the one thing I was really impressed by the Cougars. And if you got good linebacker play, you can thwart the run game. And Mosley, for one of the things that the Dolphins do best, they just one of the more evenly balanced team. This could be this could be a game that comes down to special teams. I wouldn't be surprised if this came down to the kicking game, getting into play, where we just see a display of special teams and who can gain the edge. For the Cougars, we already know about Waffle House. This man is open. They're probably going to find a way to put 2 bodies on this kid. But yeah, Mosley will definitely have their hands full at home. So even though Mosley with with the home field advantage. This is not a, this is going to be a difficult test.
Yeah, you got to love this one. I'm going to go back to the trenches for this one, Mark. I think Mosley's got an absolute monster on the defensive line. Archambault, I think is how you pronounce it, but he had 3 sacks last week. So I'm looking for the big offensive line, Hilliard, Hester, and Ware for Gabi to step up big, number 50, 65, and 71, respectively. Hey, let's get big Cam McMillan going. Let's get things rolling. But, of course, that battle in the trenches for me is going to be huge. This is I would say a weird matchup that you think about it is just like, oh yeah, these two teams are playing, but they haven't played since 2014. And Mark, I'm going to take you down. Yeah, I'm going to take you down memory lane, Mark. Last time these two teams played, PJ Simmons was quarterback for Godby. Taekwon Watson was a tailback. So like I said, haven't played since 2014, but Godby has won 3 of the last 4 matchups going all the way back to 2004, which is the start of the Max Preps era.
Definitely. Wow, I remember they linked up in the playoffs once in the opening round. Mosley took it all the way down to the wire against that Gabi team that would end up going on to the regional. I think that team ended up actually making it to state, that 2014 Gabi squad. But again, with the way that these two, match up, which is extremely well, Gabi winning the overall yardage, I would say, stat line, but Mosley is definitely known for being able to put up some big points. So this will be an interesting one as we kind of go back into the rest of the slate here. Let's go ahead and jump into some other games that we've got on week number 2 here around the area. And, for the most part, this is one that I really like, and we're just kind of going to run through the rest of these here. We definitely talked about the first 2 at the top, but yeah, let's talk about Blountstown versus Bay. This is going to be an awfully close one that you definitely don't want to miss. Bay just, came within, pretty close of being able to come from behind and pull off the upset against Dothan. Only a 7-point victory for the Wolves over the Tornadoes. I think Bay has a bad taste in their mouth from that game. Blountstown definitely looking to take the edge here, but I just like this matchup. And then moving on, we got Taylor County taking on Wakulla. This is just a historic rivalry here. War. Taylor County, Wakulla. Last year, Taylor County shocked the War Eagles, pulling off the victory in Crawfordville. This time, the Bulldogs get the War Eagles at home, and now the War Eagles will be tested in a tough road matchup. Can't overlook Taylor County. I think for them, how you watch this one, really, it's going to be trench warfare on steroids. Definitely love what I see from the Taylor County offensive unit, and the way the Wakulla defensive front really got after the quarterback. I think they put up like 3 or 4 sacks the other night against Gadsden County. So this is where it's really going to be at. Watch the offensive and defensive fronts in this one.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
You got it, Eddie.
I was just saying that, first road test of the season, from what you guys were telling me earlier before the show, Dorset Stadium, very tough and challenging place to play in, especially if it's a full house. And the history that these two have, especially last season's meeting at J.D. Jones Stadium, where, the Bulldogs were able to pull away in the final minutes and win it by 6. So this is a chance to see if the War Eagles can get that revenge, or if Taylor County's going to keep the streak going.
All right, let's run through the rest of the play.
Sorry, Mark. I was going to say, I had to get a little history going. So, you go back to 2024. That was the first Taylor County win. They got them with the magic number 27, 27-20 victory. So you're like, okay, they got them at home. They caught Wakulla napping a little bit, but then it was like 2000s Britney Spears. Oops, I did it again. Last year they came up to Wakulla, got them in Crawfordville. That magic number 27-21. So 2 very similar games. So they've won 2 in a row. Before that, they were 1-13 in their previous meetings. I like Armand Lindsay. He's a shifty running back here for Wakulla. big offensive line if they can keep it slow. But you got to watch out, like you said, for the Bez Glanton show. He went for 313 total yards, 4 touchdowns last year.
Man, just a force in and of himself, man. Just for Taylor County, the offensive line does a great job running with him as he creates space. So I'm interested in that one. Already had a chance to talk about Jags taking on the Cowboys and the Marauders taking on the Rams. Let's keep it moving here and kind of burn through this. Osceola Christian hosting Holmes County. This is going to be an interesting matchup, but I definitely like what Osceola was able to do the week before. Look for the Warriors just to be able to kind of take control of possession of the clock. They had a great time keeping Sneeze, just really getting them off the field pretty often during that game. But this one could be a low-scoring affair too. Bozeman hosting Leon in a rematch from last year. The Lions cruising at 1-0. This could be a real, tough road test for the Leon Lions, but I really like the way they matched up against Fernandina Beach last week. I just look for this team to kind of create a little bit faster of a start and see if that group can get off to a hot start against Bozeman. For Bozeman, it's just going to be about, man, can you get the Lions offense off the field and contain the running game? I had a chance to talk about NFC hosting Port St. Joe, man. This one, Walton could be for real, man. 50 points, hung a 50-piece in week number 1, taking on Arnold, man. Arnold looked very scrappy in their win in week 1, was able to get the come-from-behind victory. So, but, man, they could have their hands full with an explosive Walton offense. So I look for Arnold's defense to see if they can step up big to have a chance in this ball game. Otherwise, man, Walton at home looks to be like a dangerous team. Keeping it rolling, had a chance to talk about Franklin County and Sneads. Swanee and Lafayette. This one, man, this is another strong rivalry game. This one is old as the hills, as the don't look out now, but the Bulldogs. How about them Dogs off to a 1-0 start here on the year, hosting Lafayette, trying to get the ship righted. So we'll see if the Hornets what they can do. But man, playing down in Swanee is no easy feat. So look for the Bulldogs to really have the advantage here in this one. North Bay Haven, Freeport, both teams looking for the first victory here as North Bay Haven hosts the Bulldogs. But man, really like the way North Bay Haven really kind of hung tough in their opening game. Freeport came a little bit closer, so I'm looking to see how both teams match up against each other in week number 2. Then we have what looks to be Cottondale taking on Graceville. This is why I said this really is like the rivalry week for real, because like Graceville, Cottondale is another, man. That's I don't know how far you got to go back for this one. You got to get the microfilm off the old newspapers to go back and look at this one. This is another old rivalry. But Graceville, man, just glad to see them back in the fold. But this is going to be a tough matchup with them taking on their arch rival in Jackson County, Cottondale. And let's get to the latter part of the slate here as we get ready to kind of wrap things up. We talked about Lincoln heading up north to take on Thomas County Central, and that's just going to be a monster game for the Trojans, where it's just how can you contain the Thomas County Central playmakers. This is another interesting matchup. Chipley taking on FAMU DRS. Both teams show flashes of greatness or look like they can have some playmakers here and there. Who's going to be able to sustain those drives in this game might be the tail of the tape. Hamilton County hosting Wildwood. Wildwood, we saw them last year in the Fit Eddie, and we also had a chance to take a look at them. Wildcats still return a lot of players from that team. So Hamilton County might have their hands full, but they are at home. Look for the Trojans to see if they can try and bounce back. Vernon taking on Liberty County, the Dogs out to a 1-0 team. And this is one of my favorites out in this part of the what used to be the rural. I really like what Liberty County is doing. They looked great last week. Vernon still got some work to do if they're going to catch up. Monroe, the return of Bobcat football is upon us as they hit the road taking on Citizens Christian out in Georgia. I just want to see what Monroe is going to bring to the table. This is definitely going to be a great matchup for them. Welcome back, Bobcats. Columbia hosting Lakewood. Man, Columbia, I can't think of a team that started off week number 1 in a better situation than the Tigers did, knocking off Bowls in Jacksonville. Man, you talk about momentum. This is what the Tigers definitely have right now. Hosting 0-1 Lakewood. I like Columbia in this one at home. Rickers is going to be hitting the road, heading into Dothan. And I just got to say this. We are like over against Dothan right now. Gobby wasn't able to get the job done last year. Rickards, I think they went toe-to-toe with them last year. Now they're getting a shot. Childs did not. They weren't able to get it done. Man, just quite a few teams. Bay. Somebody from Florida got to represent. Hopefully, the Raiders can be able to find a way to get this one done. We were Hitchcock taking on Branford, and man, don't look out now. But the Gators are in a great position, taking on 1-1 Branford, and that will do it for the week number 2 slate here. Definitely looking forward to the group being out at McClay on Friday. So, man, week number 2 is in your chest.
There you go, big slate kind of coming up, Mark, like you said, and I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Monroe so far. You talk about the Bobcat football, bringing LaRose over there, of course, local legend Colby Roberts getting back home. So I'm expecting some fun stuff out of Monroe. They got the extra week of preparation with the quote-unquote bye week last week, but it should be a fun trip. And just a special shout-out, special teams here this week, putting the foot in football. A couple players I want to give some love to. We talked about it earlier. Tucker Campbell from Florida High, 50-yard field goal. Not often do we see kind of 50-plus. And then on the other side, game winner, buzzer beater, Baron Burris for Lincoln at the expiration, of the fourth quarter. It was 10-10 at that point. He puts in the game-winning field goal to clinch it for Lincoln on the road.
Yeah, I love it. We had a lot of great top performances. Hopefully we'll get a chance to shout some of those guys out a little bit later. But for right now, this has been the Extra Point Podcast Tuesdays, y'all, is the night. Kicking it up early from Wednesdays that you're used to. But I'm loving the Tuesday kind of feel and the flow. Appreciate everybody who hung out and rocked with us. We will catch everybody after the games conclude on Friday night for Friday night finals. As soon as we'll have week number 2 on deck, it'll be already wrapped up, and that's when you'll catch us again for Friday night finals. Somewhere, I don't know, 11-ish, 11:30-ish, somewhere in there. But again, looking forward to a great week number 2 slate. So for the Extra Point, I'm Mark Adams, my tag team partners, Eddie Quinkers Jr. and Andrew Juke. We'll catch everybody next Tuesday. And keep in mind, for Friday night finals, as soon as all the games are over, you can rock out with us again. Other than that, we'll catch everybody on the flip side. Everybody stay safe. Get out to one of your local games. It doesn't matter. Go support a school. We'll catch everybody next week.